child embodies our ultimate vision, that every Filipino learner will realize their full potential and ultimately reach their biggest dreams, no matter how high, no matter how hard, through quality education. And as our learners aim to soar, we must continue to elevate our goals. Rising, the kite is our emblem of aspiration to deliver the brand of quality in Philippine basic education. The quadrants of the soaring kite symbolize the key reform areas in forwarding this cause, as we embark on this aggressive reform to yield upskilled teachers, well-developed curriculum, improved learning environment, and responsive multi-stakeholder cooperation. Using the colors of our flag, the logo symbolizes our unity and serves as a reminder that it takes a nation to educate a child. Together, we as a nation will have to move forward and gain more momentum so that our vision of quality basic education for all shall take flight. Sama-sama sa pagsulong ng edukalidad.
Well, hello, Mrs. Morgan. Remember how hard it was to get your students' attention? Oh, Mr. Jeski, any explosive ideas? And you, Mr. Fisher, the world keeps turning, right? Okay, we're past all that, because now we have Microsoft Educator Center. Trainings, courses, webinars, programs, badges, points, certificates. Join now and get yourself ready for the new school year. Teach your best.
Nang sumiklab ang giyera sa Marawi, maraming buhay at kabuhayan ang nawala. Maraming kabahayan at paaralan ang napinsala. Sa kabila ng matinding suliranin, naging matagumpay ang DepEd na mabigyan ang mga mag-aaral ng pagkakataong ipagpatuloy ang edukasyon at muling bumangon sa sitwasyon. Habang naghihintay sa pagkumpuni at pagsasaayos ng mga paaralan, nagkaloob ang DepEd ng mga temporary learning shelters, remedial classes, learning kits, at feeding programs para sa mga displaced learners. Nabigla ang lahat sa pag-alboruto ng Bulkang Taal. Libo-libong pamilya, kabilang ang mga guro at mag-aaral, ang nawalan ng tirahan at mga ari-arian. Mabilis ang naging tugon ng DepEd upang makapagpatuloy sa pag-aaral ang mga apektadong mag-aaral. Sinikap ng mga guro na turuan ang mga mag-aaral na pansamantalang tumuloy sa evacuation center. Tumama sa bansa ang COVID-19 pandemic, dahilan upang maantala ang normal na daloy ng pamumuhay at trabaho sa lahat ng sektor, kabilang na ang kagawaran ng edukasyon. Nang ipatupad ang Luzon lockdown, inilunsad ang DepEd Commons upang tuloy ang pagkatuto ng mga learners habang nasa bahay. Sa kabila ng mabigat na hamon sa ilalim ng new normal, patuloy na nagpunyagi ang DepEd upang maghanap at maghatid ng mga alternatibong pamamaraan upang magpatuloy ang edukasyon sa pinakaligtas at pinakaangkop na paraan. Sa ilalim ng Learning Continuity Plan, layunin ng DepEd na magpatuloy ang edukasyon nang hindi nakokompromiso ang kapakanan at kalusugan ng mga guro at mag-aaral. Isusulong ng DepEd ang tatlong pangunahing layunin: angkop na proteksyon, kaugnay ng mga health standards at safety protocols para sa ligtas na school year, patuloy na edukasyon sa pamamagitan ng blended learning, distance learning at homeschooling na angkop sa kapasidad ng bawat mag-aaral, at mabisang aksyon sa pakikipagtulungan sa lokal na pamahalaan at mga partner organizations upang maihatid ang dekalidad na edukasyon para sa lahat. Bawat DepEd Division ay bumuo rin ng sarili nilang Learning Continuity Plan upang gabayan ang mga guro, mga magulang at mga mag-aaral sa bagong pamamaraan ng pag-aaral gamit ang online, modular at TV and radio-based instructions. Gamit ang iba't ibang learning modalities, nagdaos ng dry run ang mga paaralan sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa, katuwang ang mga local government units at mga education partners upang maging handa sa bagong sistema ng edukasyon. Isinagawa rin ang mga pagsasanay at oryentasyon sa mga magulang upang maging epektibong katuwang sa pag-aaral ng kanilang mga anak. Sa anumang hamon o sitwasyon, handa ang DepEd. Handang kumilos, handang tumugon, at handang magserbisyo.
Ang dami ng mga pagsusubok at challenges ang naharap at napagtagumpayan ng ating Department of Education. Tuwing may pagsusubok, priority palagi natin ang ating learners at ang ating mga teachers sa tulong ng parents at saka partners at ang buong bansa. Ngayon, sa hinaharap natin itong new normal na sinasabi nila, matatag ang ating kagawaran, matatag ang DepEd dahil pinagtibay na tayo ng panahon. Kayang-kaya natin ito sa tulong ninyo.
G'day everyone, I'm Mark. As a teacher and a former principal, I know that professional learning often comes at the end of a very long day. But there are exciting, less structured ways to be in the driver's seat of your own lifelong learning. A great place to start is by engaging with our Microsoft Innovative Educator, or MIE, community. This global community is big, in fact it's enormous. Our MIEs love connecting. Monthly tweet meets are global gatherings of inspiring educators around big topics, and their Facebook group acts as a persistent home for discussions and shared activities. Another way teachers are learning within communities is through Microsoft Teams. Now, greater teacher collaboration improves teaching across schools, and Teams is the ultimate platform for a professional learning community. It's open-walled and socially embedded, so you can incorporate your OneNote Staff Notebook PLC and have access to all the goodness of video chat, phone, and collaboration tools. With Immersive Reader built in, it's inclusive and accessible on any device. Your learning community is just a click away. Last tip, our Microsoft Education Centre offers great ways to gain new skills with courses tailored uniquely to your needs. Make it a collaborative experience by picking a MEC course to do together with your peers. And as a bonus, you can practice collaborative learning by exploring a research paper like the Class of 2030 and treat it just like a book club with your colleagues face-to-face or in teams. The link to that research, it's in the description. Remember, learning is socially embedded. It's best done together for students and for teachers. Happy learning.
year 2020 brought new beginnings for the Department of Education. Ready to pivot towards attaining quality education, DepEd was hopeful of the challenges ahead of it. But as DepEd continued to work on its commitment, the world suddenly faced a steeper dilemma. Around the globe, countries like the Philippines had to shift their priorities to respond to a public health crisis brought by COVID-19. Schools had to be closed, activities had to be halted, graduation ceremonies had to be canceled, as people were urged to stay at home. A new normal dawned upon us. As soon as DepEd realized the impact of these disruptions in education, it began to proactively craft its learning continuity plan last April to ensure that learning opportunities will still be available. Consulting with partners and advisors through the Education Forum, as well as legislators, teachers, parents, learners, and the general public, DepEd made sure its LCP encompasses the concerns of the whole education sector in responding to the crisis. Its topmost priority being the protection of the health, safety, and well-being of learners, teachers, and personnel. To make informed decisions, DepEd first analyzed relevant data and epidemiological picture for the incoming school year. DepEd also issued guidelines on its required health standards to be adopted in all public and private schools and DepEd offices following DOH and IATF protocols. It covers 4 COVID-19 mitigation objectives, namely, to increase physical and mental resilience, reduce transmission, reduce contact, and reduce duration of infection. The LCP also outlined how learning continuity will be ensured. It streamlines the K-12 curriculum into the most essential learning competencies and allows the use of distance learning, homeschooling, and blended learning modalities. Since conducting face-to-face classes will be a risk in most areas, DepEd has anchored its delivery of education to modular, online, TV and radio, or a combination of all. Guided by teachers, modular learning will allow learners to use self-learning modules in a format applicable to learners' capacity. In online distance learning, teachers will facilitate and engage learners' participation through the internet, whether synchronous or asynchronous. TV and radio-based instructions, on the other hand, are converted lessons fit for the broadcast medium. The LCP assures that all our learners, including our SPED, ALS, Madrasa students, can still access education even within the confines of their homes, and ensures that their household capacity will not hinder their right to education. To make this possible, our joint Brigada Eskwela and Oplan Balik Eskwela is assisting the preparations for the rollout of the LCP. On May 8, the LCP was approved by the IATF. The President also gave it his full support and expressed his commitment to meeting the financial demands of its execution. The implementation of the LCP will not be easy. It is not a perfect plan, and complications can be expected along the way. But extraordinary times call for extraordinary and proactive measures, and the Department of Education is ready to address the challenges along the way with the help of our national and local government, partners, parents, and learners. As one nation, learning opportunities shall be available in this brave new world for our Filipino children.
When you need the focus to be on you and not whatever that guy's doing, open Teams.
bilisan mo! Tutal nawasak na naman namin ang lahat ng ari-arian nyo!
Sa totoong buhay, totoo ang pinsala ng giyera. Mula noon hanggang ngayon. Para limitahan ang kalupitan ng giyera, nagkaisa ang mga bansa 70 taon na ang nakalipas upang itaguyod ang Geneva Conventions. Ang Geneva Conventions ay kinikilala ng buong mundo bilang bahagi ng international humanitarian law na nagtatakda ng mga patakaran ng giyera o the rules of war. Ayon dito, huwag gawing target ang mga sibilyan at kanilang mga ari-arian. Tratuhin sa makataong paraan ang mga nabilanggo at protektahan ng mga doktor, nurse at mga ospital para paglingkuran ang mga sugatan at may sakit saan man panig sila nagmula. Alamin ang Geneva Conventions. Bisitahin ang www.therulesofwar.org.
Hi guys, so I just came from a meeting and I was just told that I would be leading this fundraising concert for International Students Day. And I have to present the plan to the school board next week. Okay, I'm going to need some help. Let me create a team space and invite my dream team. Sia, she knows all about the budgeting and stuff. Ivan, he knows all the kids from the performing arts group. Aisha, she worked on getting sponsorship last year. And Sam, because he's so cute. Let me lay out all tasks in Planner and kick things off. So, I'm almost done with my event concept and inspiration board. I just need Ivan to do some final tweaks and plug in the repertoire. Budget from Sia? Check. Sponsorship plan? Check. Done! Whew! When you start using Microsoft Teams, teamwork really does become easier. So now I'm heading over to present the plan to the school board. Wish me luck!
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought unprecedented changes to our usual ways of living. But the Department of Education remains unfazed by these challenges to fulfill the mission of Sulong Edu Kalidad, the rallying call for national effort to deliver quality basic education to all Filipinos, which involve aggressive reforms in the 4 key areas: the K-12 curriculum review and update, improving the learning environment, teachers upskilling and reskilling, engagement of stakeholders for support and collaboration to move forward together as we prepare the education system for the future. The call for Sulong Edu Kalidad will continue, and we have built the framework of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, or the BELCP, to put the needs of the learners at top priority. DepEd's BELCP is the major response and commitment to protect the health, safety, and well-being of learners, teachers, and personnel. The plan aims to provide opportunities to continue education even in these trying times with a BELCP in place, supported by an unprecedented number of diverse stakeholders from the academe, media, industry groups, NGOs, business and private individuals. Sulong Edu Kalidad will be able to sustain the aims in its reform for quality basic education. In our journey towards quality education, we have established the 4 pillars of aggressive reforms from the start, and we have been continuing to progress in these pillars. In improving the learning environment, we took action in the construction and rehabilitation of school buildings, ensured the availability of learning materials and equipment, and prioritized our last mile schools. The challenges of the pandemic also brought to light the urgent need to upgrade our ICT infrastructure to service the needs of education. In terms of the teachers' upskilling and reskilling, we were able to establish more innovative professional standards for teachers and school heads. We have aligned the professional development of teachers with their career progression to track their development as part of the National Educators Academy of the Philippines transformation. With the launch of the Education Futures program, where we will be focusing on innovative actions and solutions to improve the state of our education, we are now more than ready to start a new journey and continue our fight for quality education for all Filipino learners. Finally, we've given high importance to the engagement of stakeholders for support and collaboration. In support of this, we have convened the Philippine Forum for Accessible Quality Basic Education, or the Education Forum, which will leverage other partnerships for education quality and strengthen partnership with the Philippine Normal University as the country's national center for teacher education. The department has also been developing a professional development program for teachers and school leaders in order to equip them with the skills, materials, and data that will allow them to help their students prepare for PISA 2022. This intervention consists of the following components: online training for teachers and school leaders, development of learning materials and practice tests for students, deepening the analysis of the PISA 2018 results, and supporting school-level action research. Now that the year is about to end, our commitment to sulong edukalidad will continue and will be far from being gone. With a lot at stake, considering our new knowledge and experience from this year's challenges, we are equipped to face a new future. As we head on to the future where we will face many challenges and uncertainties, the department will always be the guardian of every Filipino learner's right to education.
Sino ba ang hindi naapektuhan? Sino ba ang hindi nag-alala? Sino ba ang hindi nalito? Lahat tayo ay naapektuhan. Lahat tayo ay nag-aalala. Lahat tayo ay nalito. Dahil binago ng pandemyang dulot ng COVID-19 ang paraan ng pamumuhay ng lahat ng mga Pilipino saan mang sektor ka nabibilang. Tumigil ang panandalian ang ating mga nakagawian. Tumigil ang lahat ng uri ng transaksyon. Tumigil ang lahat ng operasyon ng mga paaralan. Nakalilito. Nakakaba. Paano na ang kinabukasan ng mga kabataan? Paano na tayo sa hinaharap? Opisyal na nilulunsad ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon sa pangunguna ng Office of the Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction ang DepEd Teaches. Ito ay isang online na programa na gagabay sa mga guro, tagapangasiwa, magulang at mag-aaral hinggil sa mga pagbabago sa batayang edukasyon ngayong new normal. Ang DepEd Teaches ay angkla sa sulong edukalidad na nakatuon sa 4 na pangunahing pangangailangan ng mapunyaging reforma tungo sa makalidad na pagtuturo at pagkatuto. Una, pagre-review at pagsasapanahon ng kurikulum ng K-12. Ikalawa, pagpapaunlad ng kapaligirang pampagkatuto. Ikatlo, paglinang ng mga bagong kasanayan sa mga guro. At ang ika-4, ang pakikipag-ugnay sa mga stakeholder para sa suporta at kolaborasyon. Sa pamamagitan ng virtual learning platform, ang DepEd Teaches ang magsisilbing bukas na komunidad ng pagsasanay na titipon sa mga guro, tagapamunong pang-edukasyon at sa sinumang may pagnanais sa pagtataguyod ng kalidad na edukasyon sa bansa at sa pagtagumpay ng bawat Pilipinong mag-aaral. Ang mga opisyal, education specialist, learning content expert at outstanding teacher ng DepEd ang magiging tagapanayam na magbabahagi ng kanilang kaalaman at kasanayan sa kurikulum, pagtuturo at pagkatuto, pagtataya, at lahat ng kaugnay na mahalaga sa proseso ng pagtuturo at pagkatuto sa new normal. Bilang mga frontliner ng classroom, inaasahang magiging aktibo ang mga guro sa programang ito. Ang mga tema at paksa ay angkop sa kanilang pangangailangan at konteksto sa pamamagitan ng accessible na platform, ang social media. Sumali na sa OUCI family sa DepEd Teaches, kung sama-sama mapahuhusay pa ang mga guro, kung sama-sama higit na malilinang natin ang mga mag-aaral.
It's another beautiful Thursday afternoon. Good day to everyone and shout out to all our avid viewers of DepEd Teaches. Summer is here and time flies quite fast because we are now on the second quarter of this year. We hope you are all well, safe, and healthy. Things are a bit getting worse, but let us keep on praying and observing the health protocols. Nevertheless, the restrictions should not hinder us from continuous learning. Right, Miss Anna? Good afternoon to you.
Absolutely, Sir July. Good afternoon. So, awesome afternoon again, everyone. Those who are tuning in, DepEd Philippines, DepEd Tayo, DepEd YouTube channel, and of course, to our followers on DepEd Teaches. We are glad we're back after our 2-week hiatus. We are really excited for this another amazing episode. So, let's see if you still remember our past discussions. Let's have another trip down to memory lane.
We wonder if you still remember our theme and the topics for our past episodes. For episode 11 to 14, our theme is content knowledge and pedagogy. But before we proceed, let us have a quick mental exercise. We invite you to type in the comment section of your answer to these questions that we will be presenting. For the first question, what resonates you the most for the past 3 episodes? Again, we invite our viewers to answer in the comment section of our FB Live. The answer to this question, what resonates you the most for the past 3 episodes?
So we will try our best to read your answers before we end this episode, or if not, next week. Think and recall, similar to how we deliver lesson, we try to connect past learning with a new topic. That's why we want to find out if you still remember what resonates you the most for the past 3 episodes. And for the next question, put on your thinking caps. You've heard project-based approach. This is not something new, and probably some of you have been doing this. So this question might be just a piece of cake. So for the second question, what is project-based approach? Again, for the second question, what is project-based approach?
All right, that was our second question. More than remembering what project-based approach and other strategies you are familiar with, it is best if we put into practice on what we have been learning here in DepEd Teaches, as well as in other trainings or webinars we have attended so far. And we hope there has never been a dull moment here in DepEd Teaches. So we want to know more what's going on into your mind right now, for it is once said, curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning. So for our last challenge and question, flash now on the screen. What do you want to learn about the project-based learning approach? Again, what do you want to learn about the project-based approach? Please come up with a question on this, on what do you feel to find out more about the project-based approach. Just type in our comment section.
If you notice, what we did is similar to a KWL strategy, assessing what you know, setting a purpose for what else do you want to learn, and later we will have the overall evaluation for episodes 11 to 14 under the theme Content, Knowledge, and Pedagogy. We hope you will ace the evaluation, so sit tight, listen carefully, and take down notes.
But before we proceed to the highlight of this episode, we invite all our viewers to like, follow, and share our official Facebook page, the DepEd Teaches. So far, we have only 3,000 followers on DepEd Teaches, but in our previous record, the highest number of viewers was 60,000. We will never get tired of reminding you to support our online community, the DepEd Teaches Facebook page.
And perhaps we can add a special bonus question in the evaluation to see if you're really part of our Facebook page, DepEd Teaches. So what are you waiting for? Join now the growing community of educators on DepEd Teaches. By the way, Sir July, we are halfway through this school year, and I wonder what kind of performance tasks or projects our teachers have designed or prepared for our learners considering the distance learning modality.
Same thoughts, Miss Anna. I believe our teachers are resourceful, that they have ways on how to come up with feasible projects for this. But then the question is, do these performance tasks really reflect the true essence of project-based approach? Or we might have some misconceptions thinking that we are doing project-based, but actually we are not.
Another thing to consider also, Sir July, is the interdisciplinary or authenticity. This is very important. For one, it saves time and resources. And more importantly, we want to see learners see the connection in the big picture. So, but then the question is, how is it done in project-based approach?
That sound exciting, Ma'am Anna. And to be enlightened about this topic, I hope everyone is ready. So let us get down to business and meet our resource person. Our resource person today is Miss Carleen Sedilla, who is currently the OIC Schools Division Superintendent of the Division of Makati City. Previous to her assignment as superintendent, she served as Assistant Schools Division Superintendent of Schools Division of Taguig and Pateros and the Chief Education Supervisor of the School Governance Operations Division of DepEd Caloocan City. She also served as English Program Supervisor at SDO Caloocan from 2011 to 2015, a principal of Caloocan City Science High School from 2005 to 2010, and a master teacher and school paper advisor of Macario B. Asistio Senior High School from 1997 to 2005.
Ma'am Carleen Sedilla was also an English instructor at the Philippine Normal University. She has been awarded as Most Outstanding Teacher by the Rotary Club and a Gawad Sulo Awardee in Education Leadership by the Philippine Normal University. Presently, she is finishing her doctorate in education degree at the National University. She's one of the authors of Phoenix Language Package Skill Builders for English Language Proficiency and Seeds Communication Arts series. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all give a big round of applause to the Schools Division Superintendent of the Division of Makati City, Ma'am Carleen Sedilla.
Good day. Welcome to episode 14 of DepEd Teaches. Today, our episode will focus on using project-based approach to promote interdisciplinary teaching and authentic learning. We are now more than a year into the new normal, and I am sure many of us are still adjusting and are still finding ways to adapt to make teaching and learning as interesting and motivating as much as possible. Project-based approach. It is a teaching method in which students learn by actively engaging in real-world and personally meaningful projects. The approach promotes authentic learning for students, deals with actual, real-world scenario which makes the project and the activity very meaningful to them. In PBA, or project-based approach or project-based learning, students work on a project over an extended period of time that engages them in solving real-world problems or answering complex questions. They demonstrate their knowledge and skills by creating a public product or presentation for real-life audiences. As a result, students develop deep content knowledge as well as critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication skills. This is also considered as an interdisciplinary approach, for it allows the integration of the different subject areas to come up with a project that is a product of the students' learning in the different subject areas. How is project-based approach different from the conventional classroom or the conventional way we teach? In a conventional or traditional classroom, it is teacher-centered. In a project-based classroom, it is student-centered. In a student-centered classroom, the students are the focus of the classroom. Students are engaged in learning and are motivated, for they find the project's relevant work that will help them in their learning. In a conventional classroom, it is teacher-directed. Therefore, the teacher gives the direction of the class. In a PBL or PBA approach, it is self-centered. It means that the students learn skills that help them monitor their learning, so they do not always have to rely to the teacher to direct the learning or tell them what to do. In a traditional classroom, the students are expected to listen, memorize, and repeat. In a PBL classroom, the students are supposed to discover, to apply, and to present what they have learned. In projects, students learn through exploring, applying what they learn, and demonstrating their knowledge. In a traditional classroom, it basically promotes independence or self-learning. In a project-based classroom, it promotes collaboration or teamwork or working together, because students work in group during project, which promotes cooperation and collaboration. In a conventional classroom, the teacher is the decision maker. In a project-based classroom, the students and the teachers are both decision makers. While the teacher facilitates project work, the students participate in making decisions about the project and apply these decision-making skills to their own work. In a traditional classroom, knowledge of facts, terms, and content are important, while in a project-based classroom, 21st century skills are most important. Project work fosters or promote 21st century skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, and creativity. In a traditional classroom, direct instruction is the main method. In a project-based classroom, varied instructional strategies are being used by the teacher and varied learning strategies are being used by the students. Teachers are supposed to use a variety of teaching strategies, which may include direct instruction or any strategy that would engage all our students and learners. In a traditional or conventional classroom, it is short, isolated lessons with predetermined answers, or the lessons are focused on isolated lessons with predetermined answers. In a project-based classroom, it involves long-term investigation. Students are engaged in an in-depth study of an open-ended topic, for ideas or topics are regularly generated all throughout the project. In a conventional classroom, it is very standard-based. In a conventional classroom, it's also standard-based because both conventional and PBL are basically based on standards that drive instruction or it promotes the important contents and skills. In conventional or traditional classroom, it involves periodic assessment, usually quarterly exams or summative exams, but in a project-based approach, assessment is ongoing or assessment is done all throughout the project. Assessment occurs multiple times throughout the project by the teachers, the students, and their peers. In a traditional or conventional classroom, basically we focus on short-based activities that could be finished in one class. In a project-based approach, we are now looking into real-world connections. During projects, the students are made to engage in a variety of real-world tasks, doing a variety of work that can be applied to real world outside the classroom. Project work often takes the students out into the field and involves working with professionals. That's why this approach is very appropriate in the new normal because now our students are immersed in their own communities or in their own scenarios. In a traditional classroom, the main source of assessment is basically quizzes and tests. While in a project-based classroom, it's more on reflection. Students are made to reflect because reflection is an important aspect of a PBL classroom for the students are made to think and reflect and analyze all throughout the project work. So what are the benefits of the project-based approach? First is increased motivation. Students participating in project-based learning showed significant increase in attendance and improve attitude towards learning because basically they are involved in something that they have a say and they are interested in. Project-based teachers often report that students willingly devote extra time and effort in their projects. Next, and most important, is improved academic performance. Students involved in project-based learning also showed academic gains better than those generated by other models or strategies, with students involved in project taking greater responsibility for their own learning than during traditional classroom activities. Next is improve higher order thinking skills. Project-based learning provides opportunity for students to develop complex thinking skills such as problem solving and decision making. In a project, students engage in posing and solving problems, making important decisions that would require critical thinking and thus promoting higher order thinking skills. Another benefit is increased collaboration. Many projects depend on students working together in learning groups. Cognitive theory suggests that learning is a social phenomenon and students learn more in a collaborative environment. Last is growth in self-direction. Project work involves students engaging in complex tasks that helps him or her develop organization, time management, and self-direction. With all these benefits, I hope that you would want to start trying project-based approach. According to PBL Works, here are the 7 essential elements of project-based approach or project-based learning. First, you must have a challenging problem or question. The project is framed by a meaningful problem to be solved or a question to answer at the appropriate level of challenge. Next is sustained inquiry. Students engage in rigorous, extended process of posing questions, finding resources, and applying information. Next is authenticity. The project involves a real-world context, tasks and tools, quality standards or impact, or the project speaks to a personal concern, interest, or issue that is relevant to the student's life. Next is students' voice and choice. Students make their own decision about the project, including how they will work, how will they create or what will they create, and express their own ideas in their own voices. Next is reflection. Students and teachers are supposed to reflect on their own learning, the effectiveness of their inquiry and project activities, the quality of the student work, and the obstacles that arise, and the strategies and how to overcome them. Next is critiquing and revision. Students give, receive, and apply feedback to improve their process and products. And last is public product. Students make their product work public by sharing it, presenting it, and explaining it to the people beyond their classroom. With these elements in mind, what are therefore the roles of the learner in a project-based approach? First is to determine their project and to take responsibility for their learning. Next is to use technology and other learning tools or strategies to communicate actively with the teacher and their peers. Next is to ask questions, build knowledge, think rationally to determine real-world solutions to an issue or a question presented. Then, they should collaborate and work with the group to expand their skills and engage in focused communication. Of course, after they do that, they need to present and to explain their project. And of course, last, they need to take ownership and responsibility for their work and performance. After identifying the essential elements for the students, on the other hand, there are 7 project-based teaching practices that teachers should know. First is to design and plan. Teachers are the ones who are supposed to create or adopt a project for their content and their students. They should plan the implementation from launch to culmination while allowing for some degree of student voice and choice. After planning, they should align it with the standards. The teachers use the standards to plan the project and make it address key knowledge and understanding from the subject area to be included. These standards are basically found on our most essential learning competencies. The teacher is also supposed to be the one to build the culture. Teacher explicitly and implicitly promotes student interdependence and growth, open-mindedness, inquiry, team spirit, and attention to quality. The teacher also is the one who is supposed to manage the activities. The teacher works with the student to organize tasks and schedule, sets checkpoints and deadlines, find and use resources, create products, and make them public. Of course, the teacher is supposed to scaffold student learning. Teachers employ a variety of lessons, tools, and instructional strategies to support all students in reaching the project goal. Another main function of the teacher is basically to assess students' learning. Teacher uses formative and summative assessment of knowledge, understanding, and success, and includes self and peer assessment of team and individual work. And finally, the teacher is supposed to engage and coach. Teachers engage in learning and creating alongside students and identify why they need skill-building redirection or reflection, encouragement, and celebration. So what are the roles of the teacher in a project-based approach? The main role of the teacher is as facilitator. We are supposed to guide the students in learning. Next is you are supposed to develop an atmosphere of shared responsibility while having the overall control of the learning. Teachers are supposed to regulate student learning with intermittent, transitional goals to ensure students' project remain focused and students have a deep understanding of the concepts behind what they are investigating. Provide feedback and assessment to ensure that students stays within the scope of the project and the course standard. Of course, the teacher is supposed to be the one to evaluate the finished product and the learning the students have demonstrated. And finally, the teacher celebrates success for a job well done or when the project is already completed and presented. So how does project-based learning actually work? Allow me to share with you an example of a project done by the students of Makati Science High School using project-based approach to come up with a 3D portfolio brochure. The first thing that needs to be done is to study the curriculum. In this case, our most essential learning competencies. Then you brainstorm on a project that might align with a standard or a lesson. Then we need to develop a project idea connected to the lesson that strongly targets your standards and connect to the real world. This can be done by brainstorming a project scenario and writing a project description. For this project, the students have decided to make a 3D portfolio container. For the project description, the 3D portfolio container is a project that will make the students appreciate the relevance of a 3D design in terms of aesthetic, relevance and coherence in the theme, and the flow of information that will exhibit their knowledge, talent, and skills in art and geometry through 3D design. Once the students have already a project in mind, help them identify the goals or objectives of the project. For this project, the following are the goals. For the school goal, they need to develop higher order thinking skills and 21st century skills for the learner. The long-term goal is to promote the value of creativity and to realize the work of maximizing space and resources, catering to the profile of Maksay student being ang batang Maksay ay madiskarte. Their sub-goals basically involves the higher order thinking skills, which include synthesizing knowledge and skills learned in different disciplines, creating a work of art, and value creativity and worth of learning concepts applied in real work. They also review the 21st century skills and identify skills that they would want to target. Beyond content standards, students need to learn 21st century skills like life and career skills, learning and innovation skills, and information, media, and technology skills. Teachers must be able to prioritize the skills most relevant to the students and those that they can be developed or enhanced through the project that they will do. For this project, the following 21st century skills were identified. For learning and innovation skills, they thought of creativity and innovation by demonstrating originality and inventiveness in work. For life and career skills, they would focus on productivity and accountability, like demonstrating diligence and a positive work ethics like being punctual and reliable, demonstrating integrity and ethical behavior, and acting responsibly with the interests of the large community in mind. As part of the goal, they must be able to identify the project goal and outcome. For this project, the project goal is students should be able to create a 3D polyhedron incorporating the concept they have learned in polygons, considering the value of space and coherence in design and structure that will serve as a container of information done in a creative manner. The project outcome is a product of a 3D polyhedron which will serve as a container for a brochure as an information dissemination catalog. To ensure the implementation of the curriculum and the acquisition of knowledge and skills, the next step is to identify the curriculum standards. This can be derived from our most essential learning competencies for the main subject area and the other subject areas that can be integrated in the project. For this project, the focus subject is geometry. Hence, the curriculum standards derive the relationship among the sides and angles of a triangle, determine the sum of the measures of the interior and exterior angles of a polygon, illustrate, name, and identify a triangle and its basic secondary parts. The project will be incorporated with the other subjects like Filipino, pagsulat ng tula sa kalikasan, English, a haiku, edukasyon sa pagpapahalaga, kung paano magiging mabuting pinuno at mabuting tagasunod, math and geometry, polygons as 3D containers, science, information about earthquake and typhoon, ICT, website documentation of the process, and research citation using APA or APA. Notice how the project integrates other learning areas. Hence, the project becomes interdisciplinary and it taps on the other competencies and skills in other subject areas. To have focused learning and to target higher order thinking skills, we need to form curriculum framing questions. Curriculum framing questions help students connect essential concepts in and across different disciplines. They provide a meaningful focusing learning while engaging students with thought-provoking questions. Curriculum framing questions help tie the higher order learning goals of the project to the objectives of the task. It consists of one overall arcing essential question, one or more unit questions, and several content questions. The first type of curriculum framing questions are essential questions. Essential questions are broad, open-ended questions that address big ideas and enduring concepts. They engage students, or they are engaging and meaningful. They spark curiosity. They require higher order thinking skill. They could have multiple or varied answers, and they often cross-discipline to help students see how subject areas or different subjects are related. Notice that with these questions, or the example given for the project of Makati Science High School, the answers will not be isolated to math or geometry alone. It can touch on art, values, and other subject areas. Further, if you look at the questions, there's no one answer for each of the questions, and it sparks the curiosity of our students. The next type of curriculum framing questions are unit questions. Unit questions are open-ended questions that tie directly to the project or the unit. It is aligned with the objectives. It requires higher order thinking skills. It helps the students construct their own answers and their own meaning from the information they have gathered, and it helps them answer the essential question. Look at the unit questions given for this project. The last type of curriculum framing question is content questions. Content questions are closed questions that have a narrow or a set of correct fact-based answers. They often relate to definitions, identifications, and general recall information, and it helps answer the unit question. If you notice, the questions build up to the essential question that requires the students to see the value of the lesson or the project in actual application or in real world. When the concept of the project and what will be gained from the project is clear, the next thing to do is to make an assessment plan. Assessment for project-based learning is done all throughout the project, mainly before the project begins to gauge students' need, during the project implementation to encourage strategic learning, and after the project to demonstrate understanding. Since assessment is done before, during, and after, here are the things that you should consider. In assessing before, the main idea is to gauge students' need. At the beginning of the project, assessing students' prior knowledge helps in the teacher to plan or to meet the students' need and help them to incorporate new knowledge into their thinking. So the main question that you should be asking is, I need to find out what my students already know about the subject before I begin the project. So other effective strategies are brainstorming, KWL, anecdotal notes, project plan, and checklists. Once you already gauge the student's need and during the project, you must also do assessment all throughout the project. During project assessment helps the teacher and the students monitor progress, encourage collaboration and self-direction, and check for understanding. Basically, assessment done during the implementation of the project encourages strategic learning. So the main question that could be asked is, my students are doing well and can continue very well with their project. So what works? If the students are doing well. If the students are having problem, then you might ask, my students are having difficulty with the project. What seems to be the problem? or how can they solve it, and what works better to accomplish the project. For this, you could do focus group discussion, and you could also have rubrics to guide you in the assessment. And of course, after the implementation of the project, you must do after assessment. Basically, this will tell whether they would demonstrate or understanding or if they have really learned something. Assessment at the end of the project or work assess the students' understanding and skills and provide feedback on the quality of work and the level of understanding. In this part, you could ask the question, I need to find out what my students should learn and have learned at the end of the project. Here, we need to do reflection, actual presentation of the project, and explanation. Assessment basically allows us to know how we could help our students, what our students know, and what our students learn. Here is the sample assessment plan for the 3D project done by Makati Science High School, which specified the specific tasks on how monitoring and assessment will be done throughout the project. Assessment plan is very important because the students will be able to identify what are their needs, how can they be helped, and what learning and understanding is expected at the end. This will basically tell us if the project is effective in learning or if the strategy has an impact to our learners. For the project plan, the final phase is the reflection, which is one of the good and most important features of project-based learning. Reflection creates independent and lifelong learners. Reflection activities should occur frequently all throughout the project at scheduled intervals and as spontaneously as learning opportunity arise. When students reflect systematically and deeply, they benefit by connecting learning to experiences and belief, thinking metacognitively about their learning, and to set goals and monitor their progress. Here is an example of how the students of Makati Science High School were able to use the project-based approach to come up with a 3D portfolio brochure from planning to presentation. Surf the internet and if you look at references, there are many teachings or references that would talk on project-based learning or project-based approach. For this project or for this plan and for this talk, basically we use the Intel design on the project-based approach. After you have seen a sample of a real project done in a real classroom, what should we remember when engaging in a project-based approach? Here are the 6 A's that we should consider when designing projects that can be used in a project-based approach. The 6 A's for designing in a project is 1. Authenticity. Does the project emanate from a problem or question that has meaning to the students? Is a problem or question that might actually be tackled by a student at work or in an actual community? And do the students create or produce something that has personal or social value beyond the school setting? The next A is academic rigor. Does the project lead the students to acquire and apply knowledge central to one or more discipline or content area? Does it challenge the students to use methods or inquiry central to one or more discipline? For example, thinking like a scientist, thinking like a businessman, and do students develop higher order thinking skills and habits of mind, like searching for evidence and taking different perspectives? The third A is applied learning. Does the learning take place in the context of a semi-cultured or semi-structured problem, grounded in real life and work in the world beyond their school? Does the project lead students to acquire and use competencies expected in high-performance work organization? And does the work require students to develop organizational and self-management skills? The fourth A is active exploration. Do the students spend significant amount of time doing field work or investigation? Does the project require students to engage in real-life investigation using a variety of methods, media, and sources? And are the students expected to communicate what they have learned through presentation or through performance? The fifth A is adult engagement. Do the students meet and observe adults with relevant expertise and experience? Do students have opportunity to work closely with at least one adult? Or do students actually collaborate with adults to design and assess the students' work? And finally, the 6A is assessment practices. Do the students reflect on their learning using clear project criteria that they have helped to set? Do others from outside the classroom help the students develop a sense of real-world standards for this type of work? And will there be opportunities for the regular assessment of students' work through a range of methods, including exhibitions and portfolios? Using the 6 A's will basically guide you in helping you design projects that are relevant for project-based approach. After everything that you have heard and seen about project-based approach, in the end, why should you explore the project-based approach? Basically, I encourage all of you to try out project-based approach because it provides opportunities for students to pursue their own interests and questions and make decisions on how they will find answers and solutions. It also improves education for all students, for it facilitates integration of the content of the different subject areas. It also teaches children to use their own minds as well and apply what they have learned in school to lifelong endeavors or situations. It helps students to become technologically literate and explore different learning styles and strategies. It also establishes connections to life outside the classroom, addressing real-world concerns and developing real-life world skills. And finally, the skills learned through project-based approach or project-based learning are those desired by today's employer for pre-BA develops lifelong skills. That's why PBL is a skill or an approach that is being encouraged because it goes outside of the classroom and it provides our students knowledge, skills, and attitude that will be very useful to them in the real world, especially when they go out of the classroom. Indeed, the new normal has brought about a lot of challenges in teaching and learning. But instead of focusing on the limitations, let us all focus on the possibilities and the big room for innovation that would allow us to explore and try out varied strategies like the project-based approach that would maximize our current situation and resources. As teachers and lifelong learners, may the passion for teaching and learning continue to burn in our hearts so we can continue to encourage our learners to be inspired and excited to learn. Thank you for joining me in this episode. This is Miss Carleen Sedilla, OIC Schools Division Superintendent of the Schools Division Office of Makati. Thank you very much and good day to all of you.
Thank you so much, ASDS Carleen Sedilla, for sharing your expertise. It was a very effective presentation and you provided concrete examples that help us to vividly visualize how project-based learning approach in interdisciplinary teaching and authentic learning is done. I am confident that our viewers have learned so much from your talk. We remind now our viewers to share your takeaways by telling us what you have learned, relearned, and unlearned in today's episode. Don't forget to use the hashtag I support DepEd Teaches and hashtag DepEd Teaches episode 14.
Again, so thank you so much, Ma'am Carleen Sedilla. So just keep on sharing your insights here on DepEd Teaches comment section, and more so you can post also your answers to the exit ticket on your personal Facebook page and Twitter. So before we end, we have few announcements. For episodes 11 to 14, we will only have a single registration and one evaluation. And the evaluation is now available until Saturday midnight. So for you to receive your certificates of appearance and participation, you must pass the evaluation. You see the link on the screen right now, so you can rewatch all episodes on our official Facebook page, DepEd Teaches. This will help you to review for the evaluation. Good luck, teachers.
On behalf of the curriculum and instruction strand, thank you for joining us in another meaningful episode exclusive here in DepEd Teaches. For our mission is empowering teachers, enabling learners. See us again next week and good day, everyone.